Don't forget, the next video after this part has already been made and is live now on my Patreon for you to see straight after you've watched this. Fully voice acted, soundtracked, and with my signature editing up for early access to the incredible 4,000 plus patrons who support my work from just $3 with more and more access at higher tiers. This has long been requested to have the full next video early available to you guys who just can't wait for what happens next on Ultra Vegito. And now it's finally here. Links are in the pinned comment and description. Head there after the video. So our story continues with Vegito in his true demon form, complete with his divine halo on his back, straight from his fusion with Goku Black, facing head-on with an electrified Broly, who is in his own angelic legendary state. And giggling dastardly in his iconic style, Vegito would smirk, staring with near squinted eyes at Broly, letting out, "Ah, what a shame, Broly. I was initially planning on having a little fun with you. Take my time with our little reunion. Maybe reenact some of the scenes from the movie. But seems, with what's going on in my head, I need to check into that therapist a little sooner than expected. Sorry, but this will end brutally quickly now, old friend. Since Kakarot didn't get a chance to battle you, you can have your shot through me!" As suddenly, in a change to last chapter, Vegito would change fighting stance and enter the iconic one of Son Goku this time instead, standing solid before Broly, who just watches on in silence at first. Before eventually, Broly would have something of his own to say, replying, "If ending this battle sooner is what you wish, Vegito, then for once, we will agree on something. The faster you are removed, the faster the multiverse will finally begin healing from the damage you have inflicted in this timeline and beyond." As suddenly Broly's fist would clench, his muscles would bulge with veins, and with a hushed breath, he would let out, "Your revenge story ends here." Before suddenly switching his own fighting stance to one resembling the old primal Broly, the legendary Angel Fusion who had been training for the last several decades, boosting his power to untold levels with his insane ability to improve in every second of battle, would cock both his arms back as his power level skyrockets to meet Vegito's. Vegito! And shouting out his foe's name in classic Broly style, the Divine Saiyan would then shoot fist forward straight for the God Killer. While atypically, Vegito would just remain smirking, thinking to himself, "That's right, come to Papa, you damn brute!" And as Broly would get closer and closer, Vegito's plan would remain unclear, as his body remains completely unmoved until... "Say hello to the Godslayer's blade!" As suddenly, for the first time in a while, Vegito, with his backhand, would initiate and engage his iconic energy blade, sharp as ever and ready to end Broly's life. But just as he would swipe, things would not prove so easy, as Broly would quickly stop and move just out of range. Guess I should have known better to think it would be that easy. But then again, maybe I did after all. before in a quick unexpected move, using his free hand, Vegito would then slam a fist directly into the solar plexus of Broly, for devastating effect and winding the Angel Fusion instantly. So much for teaching me Ultra Instinct, Mirrors. Seems you still have a long way to go yourself. As Vegito, not finished yet, would extinguish the energy blade in his former arm and pull it straight back before... This is for allowing my family to die! As the God Killer, with as much rage and conviction he had shown to every destroyer before him, would then uppercut Broly at full strength, taking out all of his latent frustration as the legendary Broly's chin is sent sky high, snapping his head back instantly. Direct hit! I'd be surprised if you weren't knocked out cold from that one, coward! Leaving Vegito to smirk as his body would reach higher and higher from the strength of his upward reaching fist alone. Looking down at Broly, who at first would seem completely out of it until... Vegito! With a furious look, despite the lack of pupils, Broly, with a bleeding mouth, would regain himself enraged, before instantly grabbing onto the raising foot of Vegito mid-flight. So you do have more in the tank! Surprising Vegito, who barely even expected Broly to withstand his last attack. Do not underestimate me! What? But soon, this grab would grow to more than just a tight grip, as suddenly, Broly would begin pulling the God Killer towards him with great speed and force, much to the seemingly surprise of Vegito. What? Soon ragdolling the fused Saiyan like a sack of potatoes, pulling him now behind as Vegito's body forcefully contorts in his dust as he pushes forward until... Time to knock some sense back into Kakarot! Suddenly then vanishing mid-travel, taking the God Killer with him. Randomly then giving us a view of an icy planet in the midst of space, previously unseen in Universe 7, before we finally see that this is where Broly had chosen to bring Vegito. An eerily similar place to where he once fought Gogeta. But the nostalgia ends as quickly as it arrived, as almost instinctively, Broly, on arriving on the planet's surface, would hurl Vegito's body down to the floor of the planet, smashing him with ferocity. The impact being so vicious, the God Killer's eyes would force shut while his mouth simultaneously bursts open, screaming in pain as internal bleeding forces blood to shoot out. But as Vegito would be in agony, Broly's stoic look would remain unchanged, staring at the God Killer as if his assault was only just beginning. As suddenly, before Vegito could even have a moment to recover, from behind, his hair would be tightly grabbed by the skull, by a Broly who once again would begin running straight forward in the opposite direction. Transitioning to complete flight as Vegito continues to be dragged along the ground like a mere child before... Begone from this realm, spawn of Lucifer! Yelling out as he would suddenly reach a standstill while pulling Vegito at insane velocity. Eventually increasing it even further, tossing the God Killer like a rocket straight towards an icy range in the distance, All the while, Vegito's body just complies, unable to do a thing against the sheer force of the legendary Saiyan. Slamming hard directly by the side of his face onto the ice-cold hard surface, with the in pain Vegito just thinking, "This ridiculous strength! Is that just Broly? Or are those two in my head fighting somehow making me weaker?" But once again, even his thoughts are interrupted by the unrelenting Saiyan, as he quickly grabs onto Vegito's skull once again like a football and pushes it deeper into the icy structure. And in what could only be described as a signature Broly move, the fused angel would then run rapidly forward, scraping the God Killer's face across the mountain as if he were washing it, breaking it apart as Vegito's face suffers a barrage of damage and friction burn as he does so. Enough! But it's not soon after that Vegito would reach his limit in frustration, bursting open his purple devilish eyes pinpointed at Broly before suddenly pivoting his body to grab onto the hand that Broly placed on his skull, shocking Broly with the sudden movement mid-attack until... "Get off me, you freak!" Shifting his body weight to then Uno reverse the situation and slam Broly down onto the ground instead. What strength! Causing Broly the same sudden pain as his back violently crashes down, spewing out his own blood this time from the impact. Now it's my turn! As Vegito, now positioned on top, would cock back his fist with a devious smile as he readies his inevitable counterattack. Try your best! While Broly on the ground would not feign away, quickly bringing his arms together to defend himself, while Vegito would just begin his onslaught. If you think a defense like that is stopping me, then you obviously have no idea who I am! As Vegito, with a deadly grin, would rain down such a flurry of punches and at such speed, it almost looks like he has 7 arms on one side. And instantly, Vegito's warning is proven to not just be words, as Broly is turned from angelic specimen to a bruised and bloodied mess of lumps, as every single punch seemingly penetrates his double arms defense and makes direct contact with his face. Each punch with the resolution to kill and not just injure. But as Vegito attempts to land one more devastating punch on Broly's cranium, he would instantly stop in his tracks, noticing something. Noticing that Broly's mouth is now wide open, but no longer due to yelling in pain. As suddenly within the mouth of Broly, a bright green concentrated ball of energy would be forming at a rapid rate. What? You can do that even in this situation? You freak! As Vegito, noticing as his entire face begins to become lost in a green hue, would stare in near paralysis over the unexpected danger. And just like that, in a flash, Broly would blast out of his mouth his signature gigantic breath, and crucially, right at the neck of the stunned Vegito, as if about to behead him. No! No! and as the powerful green beam would encompass his entire face, pushing him back right before his own eyes, the fear of just how powerful this attack is would finally set in before, in a humongous explosion worthy of Broly, both the fused Saiyan and fused Demon are caught instantly in its detonation ferocity. Until eventually, Vegito, who had presumably had faced most of the brunt of the explosion, would come shooting out of the plume of smoke as a lifeless body into the air. Eventually landing hard on his back onto the ground with a thud, before sliding backwards, scraping across the cold ice. But as he finally musters the energy to look back at what had just happened, through his damaged state, he would mutter, "Looks like that mid-battle power increase of his is well and truly kicking in now. That blast was way stronger than before. And with Kakarot and Vegeta affecting me, I don't know how much more of this I can deal with." But as Vegito would look on, he would realize, there where the explosion struck both him and Broly, there no longer seemed to be any sign left of the legendary angel, as just a thick plume of smoke bellows out of what seems like a bottomless crater, leaving the confused Vegito to wonder, that last attack, did he miscalculate and take himself out too? Maybe this is my chance. But just as Vegito would contemplate whether his job had been made a whole lot easier courtesy of Broly himself, suddenly, in an earthquaking unleashing, a blast of vicious energy would explode out of the crate, decimating the clouds of smoke instantly. Just my luck! Of course, things would never be that easy for me! As Vegito, watching on in shock at the insane display of power, would be forced to lift his left arm up to cover himself from the pressure and pushback. And rising slowly from within the wave of dark green divine energy would be the silhouette of a truly deity-like warrior that could only be one Saiyan in particular. And of course, once zoomed in, this figure would be revealed to be the great Broly. His face serious, almost unimpressed however, as he looks down at Vegito and says, "You said to give it your all, that you needed to finish this fast. Then tell me why, Vegito. Why does it feel you are nowhere near your best?" And on hearing this, Vegito at first silently would get back to his feet, as Broly divinely levitates in the distance within his abundant flow of energy, before looking on at the angel and saying with a smirk, "So, you sense it too? You're correct. Something isn't quite right here. You can thank your old friends Kakarot and Vegeta for that. But don't worry, even in this state, I'm more than capable of burying you, Broly." And instantly in a flash, as if no more talk is needed, the two would rush in at each other suddenly, within a nanosecond, reaching each other's faces, a punch cocked back on either side. And as their two hardened fists collide with serious impact, a shockwave of pure, bright energy is seen in its wake, blinding anything and everything in its path. But as the light fades, two powerful fists collide once more, but for some reason, these two seem a little different to Broly and Vegito. As once we see who the two assailants are, they are revealed to be Goku and Vegeta, exhausted and in the midst of battle, and both in their ultra forms now. With Goku huffing out, "We're completely equal, Vegeta. This is weird." While Vegeta smiling would reply, "How absurd of you to think any different. Did you really think you'd always remain one step ahead of me? Get real. We're both one half of Vegito now, and half his power is mine just as much as it is yours." Yeah! Before rapidly, the two would separate, jumping back to gain distance from one another. But Goku, now far from a jovial mood, would question, "Vegeta, why? Why are you doing this? We've done just fine so far. The destroyers who took our family away, we've got them all. The members of the Five, we have everything we need to beat Zeno as is. We never absorbed Whis or Jiren. What makes sparing Broly any different?" But Vegeta, continuing his unyielding smirk, would just respond, "The difference is, Kakarot, that I know what it takes to win, and you do not. Your typical optimistic attitude won't change the fact we are continually outclassed every time a new god arrives. Whether it be the fourth, the fifth, or the priest, it's always foregone that we will either die or just scrape by. Whis would have made no difference to our power, and the Grey Man just truly was yet another victim of these gods. Broly may be someone we knew, but now he too is one of those scum. And above all, his infinite potential is what will be key to our victory, whether you know it or not. Now enough of your softness. Apologize to Broly as much as you want once his energy is ours. Leading to Vegeta immediately then jumping forward at seemingly an unprepared Goku, ready to continue their long-awaited battle for supremacy. With Vegeta's first punch though being parried just perfectly by Goku's elbow. Why you? And his second similarly having no effect, as Goku would suddenly vanish from the prince's sight. Only for, of course, Goku to appear directly behind Vegeta, falling at speed with his hands clenched together and ready to slam hard on Vegeta's head. You'll have to try harder than that to save Broly, Kakarot. But it would seem Vegeta would be far from taken off guard as he instantly turns his head around with a smile before jumping high into the air to escape while Goku is left destroying the ground below. Vegeta! But once zoomed in, Vegeta just cannot stop laughing, almost taking a page out of Vegito's book as he looks down and ominously says, "Even though our powers may be the same, our fighting ability remains completely different, Kakarot, and that includes the potency of our techniques. As far as I'm concerned, there's only one way to decide this." As immediately following this, balls of energy begin to form directly within the hands of the prince. Leaving a partially confused Goku to figure out only one way to decide this. I guess that only means one thing with Vegeta. Gallic Kamehameha! As instantly reacting to each other, both would bring their hands together into iconic positions. one powering up a large purple energy ball for his signature Gallic gun, while the other powers a large blue ball of energy for his famous Kamehameha wave until... Gun! Both would blast off that full power, rage and conviction engraved into their eyes as they both give it 100% to win the energy wave battle, and ultimately take control of what Vegito will do next. Doesn't look like this will decide anything, but I know what will. As Goku surprisingly will then suddenly bear a smirk as he places 2 fingers on his forehead and begins vanishing. Instant transmissioning behind Vegeta once again, but this time with Vegeta far too concentrated on his energy beam. You coward! Eventually realizing just far later than last time. Vegeta then would quickly try his best to turn his body just in time to meet with Goku's arriving hands. Eventually ending with the 2 Saiyans meeting perfectly as their hands interlink, both staring at each other with anger as they both trying to gain the upper hand. But Goku, mid-struggle, would begin yelling, "Vegeta! You haven't changed. You haven't changed at all. You're still the same as always. Selfish and obsessed with getting stronger no matter what you have to do to get it. Just like you did with Babidi. You've forgotten why we're even doing this. We've got our revenge. We've honored our friends already. Now we're in the home stretch. All we have to do is overcome whoever's in front of us with our own power. Just like we always have. We don't need to harm Broly. He isn't our target. Shut up! But in response, suddenly a wave of emotion from the prince would come, as tears fall from his eyes out of nowhere, and he yells back, "It's you who's selfish, Kakarot! It's you who clings to your foolish ideals and just expects me to go with them! You are the one who has forgotten why we fight! Why these gods are all the same! They all see us, see our loved ones, as nothing but disposable pieces of waste! And each time we faced a new god, each one has pushed us to our very limit! We've gotten lucky! That is the only reason we still survive! But I will not rly on that anymore! Broly's abilities are just what we always needed! The natural abilities of a true legendary Saiyan! Immortal! And if he needs to be forced into our fight as punishment for standing around while my family were destroyed, then so be it! Because I will bring everyone back, Kakarot! I will bring my Bulma back! As with a river of tears running down the face of the prideful Saiyan, on his mind, all he would be thinking of would be his late wife. But these sudden thoughts over his deceased family would trigger something deep within Vegeta, as his teeth begin to bare wildly and his energy suddenly starts to flex in dark coloration, as his pupils, much like Broly, begin to disappear completely. But that perhaps may be the least of his changes to come. As suddenly, from the top of Vegeta's skull, unbelievably, the stumps of 2 horns would begin blasting outwards, this time reminiscent of Vegito himself. His whole body still convulsing and pulsing in veins as his power level begins to reach an unmatched state until... In a crazily familiar sight, Vegeta finally reveals himself in what looks like a demon form of his own. His horns now fully grown and blaring outwards as his eyes now turn black with the same purple pupils of Vegito, now looking more like a twin of the God Killer than the Prince, both in appearance and power. Vegeta! This turn of events of course leaving Goku shell-shocked to say the least, as his eyes burst open wide at the sudden new look and strength of his rival, as he mutters in disbelief, What just happened to you? That's Vegito's power! How did you... But the short for time demonic Saiyan Prince would just quickly interrupt. Like I told you, Kakarot, Vegito's power is as much mine as it is yours. But what doesn't change is our ability. You just don't have the heart to wield a darkness like this. And that is exactly why you will always remain weak. Before, without any hesitation, Demon Vegeta would instantly raise his knee high up with speed and force, striking the unsuspecting Goku instantly on the chin, knocking his head back violently. And once we would see the look on Goku's face now, his own pupils would have disappeared, but seemingly not because of a power-up, but more so because his eyes would begin rolling up behind his head. And as Goku's body would rise into the air, a cackling under his breath Vegeta would begin vanishing immediately. Appearing right behind Goku in the same pose our hero had tried earlier, shouting, "Now this is the difference between a low-class warrior and royalty who will do anything to win!" Landing his double-handed blow viciously onto the back of Goku's skull. So hard and ferociously, not even a sound of pain is heard from Goku this time, as his body plummets instantly down to crash land with force on the ground below. And once we see his face in the aftermath, we quickly realize why no sound was made on the last attack, as it seems in just 2 blows in this new form of Vegeta's, Goku would be knocked unconscious and back into base. While Vegeta, looking down, almost with a look as if surprised of his own strength, would stoically comment, "Sorry, Kakarot, but this story will not go the way you want anymore. This time, I win!" Vegito! Before with a smirk, Vegeta would then look into the sky and yell, "You see this? Do it now, Vegito! Finish Broly!" Broly! But on the outside, the God Killer would still be involved in his own battle, with his fist colliding with Broly's, trying to push back until... Suddenly, a change would overcome Vegito, as his formerly purple eyes would suddenly turn red now, and he would just whisper, "My power! It's returning! No, it's increasing!" Leaving even Broly with a sense of confusion as he notices the sudden and random change in Vegito's appearance. But that would not be all. What is going on? His energy, it's growing and getting darker. Has he pulled out more of Lucifer's power already? As soon the shock would grow into a sense of fear, as Vegito's changes would be more than just superficial. Looks like I won't need that therapist after all, Broly. But unfortunately, I'm done with this anyway. Before quickly, Vegito would then turn his closed fist into an open palm in the face of Broly's attack until... Instantly, with overwhelming power, Vegito would grab back onto Broly's fist and abruptly break the wrist of the legendary warrior with a loud crack. Vegito! Leading to Broly immediately screaming in pain, while a giggling Vegito would already be preparing his next move, with his arm back and his eyes still blood red. And the end result would prove to be a sudden strike to the Saiyan's throat, as he grabs it with force. I've had enough of you yelling my name. If you like it so much, then you'll love being called it from now on! As Vegito would then push back Broly with one arm as he struggles until... shooting off with unmatched, unfathomable speed, like a bullet, straight into the distance. His trajectory curved towards the ground before... In a mass explosion, Vegito would use Broly as a cushion to crash straight into the icy ground, leaving Broly now in a burial of broken shards of ice as his throat remains tightly gripped by the God Killer. But curiously, Vegito would then begin moving his body upright soon after, eventually pulling up by the neck a seemingly defenseless and beaten Broly, who is forced to stare Vegito in the face before saying, "It's too late. It's too late for you, Vegito. That power, that is no doubt the great demons. The only one who can stop you now is Father." Leaving Vegito to just smile and respond, "Father, I'm guessing this is Mirrors talking to me now, because I don't quite think Paragus has that kind of power. You keep telling me I'm losing myself to Lucifer, but to tell you the truth, it's never felt so great to be me. And you'll know that feeling too, soon enough." And viciously, not allowing Broly to say any more, Vegito would then grip even tighter, collapsing Broly's windpipe, before looking down deviously and letting out one final time. "Now, become one with greatness, Broly!" As suddenly the entire arm of Vegito, along with the majority of his body, would explode into a purple goo that would quickly encapsulate the body of Broly, covering him from head to toe, casting a shadow as the shocked face of Broly can barely react in the moment. And in a truly scary scene, we would see Vegito's whole body, minus his laughing face, then completely cover the legendary angel, creating a wall of pink goo once Vegito had finally completely wrapped around, before suddenly the mass of pink goo would begin to get smaller, eventually collapsing into a concentrated splodge on the ground, before slowly raising back up to create the silhouette of an all-new figure. That figure eventually being shown as one that looks like a mixture of Broly and Vegito, but perhaps a little too much like Broly, before instantly... in a rush of rage, the figure would power up, his body bulked up completely, and his black hair now spiked out, It's a wonder now whether this is really Vegito who took over this fusion, or was it Broly? But that was it for today's video, guys, and if you made it this far, leave me a hashtag Brogito in the comments down below and let me know who the hell this fusion is now. Is it Broly, Vegito, or something else? Or just find out right now on my Patreon, where you can see the full next video, fully voice acted, soundtracked, and edited for you to enjoy with over 4,000 plus other fans, as well as getting access to 250 plus other fan mangas too. It's the deal of the century.